So on today's episode, we had Eddie Campbell, who is with ABSI, a steel detailer, and he is also the co-host of Construction Brothers podcast. Was there anything you found significant from this episode?
Yeah, there's a few things that were significant, and we like to hit on the what and the why. Obviously, we did a little bit of both, a lot of both actually today, and we got a little bit nerdy with the steel detailing side because I'm a structural engineer and he's a detailer, and so we really got into that, and I enjoyed hearing his side of what we do because our work is hand in hand, right? He does the detailing, we do the structural engineering. I've never worked with Eddie before. I've never met him before until today. So it was a good joy and pleasure to hear from his side of what that is, and we really talked about, for those that may not know what that even is, or for yourself, for example, we really talked about what this even is, and we got into that quite a bit. So whether you're somebody who's been doing detailing for a long time or brand new at it, I think it's going to be interesting for you to hear what a detailer is. We talked about some of the headaches in construction and maybe some ways to get around that. But the why was significant, and that aspect of things. We talked a little bit about somebody named Pop. It was an inspirational person in his life. But I don't want to take it. I don't want to spoil that. It's toward the end, but it's actually one of the more inspirational parts of the show. So one of the things we like to do is um, we like to really get you inspired, educate, or entertain. I think we did a little bit of both, or all three. We did a little all three today.
You said you've never met him. How did you two get to this point of interaction?
So we haven't met officially, but LinkedIn, he's got a lot of hot takes on LinkedIn. And so I think some of his posts went pretty popular over the past few months or weeks. So got to know him that way. Also, his brother Tyler was on the show recently,
Right.
and he's the co-host of Construction Brothers podcast. So Eddie Campbell and Tyler Campbell.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I met up with him. And our podcast manager Jessica also closed the loop on that and got us going with this.
Nice.
So yeah, thanks to Jessica for managing the podcast. Thanks to you for being the producer. Well, my name's Andy Richardson, and I've been doing this 27 years. This is the producer, Madeline, and this is the Enhanced Podcast, where we find out from AEC professionals what their what and their why is, and we just understand their story. Let's jump to the intro.
Welcome to Enhance, an AEC podcast, where we learn the why behind AEC professionals so that you can learn your why.
Welcome, Eddie, to the Enhance podcast. Thanks for being on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we've never really met before. I think we've talked a little bit on LinkedIn, and I've had Tyler on, so now we've got the other half, the good half.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, Ty and I, we have fun. Usually he is the one that brings the fun into the podcast. I'm a little more on the serious side of things. So if I don't have him to hack on, then I'm kind of, man without a land. But we're gonna be okay today.
You can hack on me if you want, because I'm a dang engineer.
Yeah, we just met though, and I get along with engineers, believe it or not. So it's gonna be a good show though.
Sounds good. Well, I think we sent some questions over to you, and if you have anything you want to hit on, Eddie, we can certainly do that. But really, just conversation. This is the Enhanced AEC podcast. We're just architects, engineers, contractors, and trying to find out, your story and what you do, and also get into the what and the why of what you do as well. So that's really what we're all about. But so I want to start out with this question just to kind of loosen us up a little bit, but it's kind of the would you rather game that our kids like to play. But would you rather? So you can either have no RFIs for a week, you can have guaranteed on-time deliveries, or you can have an extra crew, an A-team crew for a week. Which one would you rather have out of those three?
No RFI. Easy.
Yeah, I thought you would say that. Why would you say that?
I am 10 times more productive if I don't have RFI. So I think I could probably, if I had a whole crew and a bunch of RFI, I wouldn't know what to do with them anyway because I can't move the thing forward. So I'm going with the no RFI because I can grease the wheels then. We get a lot done when we know what to do. So
Yeah,
that's an easy pick.
Okay, awesome. And what, it seems like that's a big problem that in the construction industry. Would you say that that's a big problem right now? Or, I mean, it's just one, or is it more of a symptom as far as these RFIs? I've seen a lot of conversation about that recently. In particular, it's probably just that I'm paying attention maybe, but.
Yeah. I'm going to go a little different road with that question than maybe expected. And I'm going to kind of turn on my own a little bit here. So I think in a lot of circles, I have seen over, the course of time, just watching back and forth on LinkedIn, watching what happens on projects. Detailer subcontractors get pretty angsty about RFI and really forget about how we're Monday morning quarterbacking the whole process. And so in doing that, I cringe a little bit now. I probably have sat in that chair. I've probably even said all the words about how bad I hate RFI, and I do. I wish I had all the information to do my job. Everybody wishes that they had what they needed to do their job. But I also know that I don't always possess the whole story. And I don't always know more than my predecessor. And I think that there is a little bit of a chip that we can get on our shoulders about this whole RFI thing. So I think the RFI process serves a purpose. When it flows fast, it's very effective. When it is slow, when there's no communication outside of just maybe the verbiage I'm going to throw on a sheet and send up the chain, down the chain, I get something that's not really the answer I was looking for, then it can really slow things down. So I think the RFI thing gets a lot of hate, and I think there's more to that than just I hate RFI are useless, or I've got a bad attitude about them. Yeah, I'd really rather have everything I need. I would really rather do a job without them. But reality is, like, there was a lot that went on before I came to the picture. And it's pretty convenient for me to say, well, I would have, or if only you had, when I might not know that the reason why the grid dimensions don't match is because the releases happened at two separate times and the engineer never quite got a chance to go back and adjust his grids after the architect adjusted his. So it's interesting, and I think it's there's a lot to that question. I think it bleeds into the design conversation that I'm hoping we're going to have from maybe professional to subcontract on the show here. I think
Yeah, sure. I mean, and because also I'm trying to remember my audience too. We are pretty broad in our audience, so some of our listeners don't know what an RFI is, for example. We have some engineers, architects that do very much know that, and contractors, but some people that may just not even know what that means exactly. So can you explain that a little bit more for maybe somebody that doesn't know that?
Absolutely. I mean, we spend a lot of time on requests for information. Everything turns into an acronym in construction. Our names do, and our processes do. And so the request for information is, I have a set of contract documents, a set of architectural or structural documents that I need to do something with. In my case, that would be detail steel. And I need to figure out how beams connect to columns and where to place angles and how that concrete's going to pour. And I may look at the contract documentation, which is kind of like my binding contract. It's the thing that I am supposed to be doing. Is I'm supposed to meet the spec. I'm supposed to meet all of the dimensional information, everything I can find on that contract document. And I'm also supposed to meet the intent. of that contract document. And so I'm trying to weed out the things that are apparent and also maybe the things that are intent. And I'm trying to do that maybe in a quick clip. So I don't have what I need, and I ask a question. That question goes through the RFI process, which is a formalized question that goes from my hands as a subcontractor into the hands of the general contractor and hopefully lands in the hands of the person that has the information necessary for me to do my job. That can get very muddy, though, because sometimes it's not clear who that responsibility lies with. And so as a subcontractor that just really would like to be told what to do and have that dictated to me, it can get difficult getting non-answers or hey wait or closed RFI that aren't really closed. So that's the frustration that aligns with this whole RFI topic for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you're coming at it as a steel detailer, so the other thing, I mean, if you don't mind just explaining what that is too. Some of the people that I work with, even architects, even some of the engineers that are maybe new or contractors don't even know what a steel detailer is. So do you mind just sharing what that is and what you do exactly?
Sure, yeah. And this is a running joke in the office is, so what do you do? And then we try to describe that, and it's very difficult because we say, well, I'm a detailer, and people think you're washing cars.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you can imagine, the structural engineer on a project is concerned with making sure that the building has structural integrity. Is going to do an analysis on the structure, and it's going to convey things that are engineering related things that help that building stand and resist the wind blowing against it, the earthquake shaking it, the snow falling on it, and things of that nature, the people walking through it. And so there's a set of concerns the engineer has. For steel detailers, we are not engineers. We're not professionals in the sense that we're registered or licensed with the state. We are here to put instructions together. We are here to interpolate what the engineer wants and put that on drawings and then hand that to a steel fabricator so that they can make the steel. So I am concerned with every weld, every bolt, every plate, every location. I am in the details of the project. And I essentially have described it as putting together kind of the set of Lego instructions for the building is what I will end up doing, where a steel erector goes out to site, takes all of the shop drawings, all of the piece marks that we assign to different parts so that we can codify where to put what, and then they put them in place and hang it out. So I have never figured out how to make that a short answer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one way I've said it too is because, it's an interesting conversation on my side, as well that, okay, well, the shop drawings have to get done or the detailing has to get done. And if I'm talking to an owner maybe, or even like an architect that perhaps hasn't done a lot of steel, they'll say, well, why don't you just do that?
Yeah.
It's a fair question, and there's a number of reasons I would say, I don't know what your thought process is, but there's a number of reasons I would say, the detailer exists versus the structural engineer doing it. Number one, I mean, there's a scope item. I mean, we just can't go to that level of quote detail because it would be cumbersome for us to do that. Is one reason, and I mean, because you're showing how to build every single piece of steel exactly. Like this piece of steel, you need a bolt here, and it's going to be, ours is going to show center to center of the steel column grid lines. It's going to be 20 feet center to center, and then you do your minus dimension off of that because you're going to cut a ½ inch from the edge of the column plus the center of the column is maybe 6 by 6, so you're going to subtract 3 and then another half. So you have to do all that math. Of course, nowadays you're probably using some modeling software to help you with that math, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. We've been in Tekla structures for, I've been in it 21 years now.
Yeah.
Modeling
Did
in 3D.
Did you use do everything by hand originally, or just AutoCAD originally?
No, my story of getting into construction is like a lot of others in that I fell into it. And so when I fell into it after college, Tekla Structures was handed to me. AutoCAD was not put on our computers because we had a burn the ships mentality. We're going to learn how to do it in this 3D software. And so I never touched AutoCAD.
Okay.
Everything was always done in Tekla Structures.
Yeah, nice. So that's, I mean, getting back to my analogy, you got this 6x6 columns. I drew it, let's say that engineer of record drew it 20 foot center to center. So now you subtract off the 3 for the column and then another half for the standoff. So now 3.5, and then on both sides, 7 inches. So now the beam is 20 foot less 7 inches. Something like that, right? I mean, that's the kind of getting
That's
down
the
to
kind of math. Yeah, that's the kind of math that Tekla is essentially doing. These 3D modeling softwares are just big database calculators, and so we're determining that length, and then we're determining every connection plate to put on the beam, where that lands, offsets because of web thicknesses, and distances down because of K distances, and like all kinds of things that are a part of steel and are kind of, I guess, more of a niche when it comes to knowing about them, right? So we just get very hyper specific about every last thing on the shop drawings.
And also exactly how to build it. I mean, in terms of the material list, you're going to need this much steel, these type of bolts, all that's going to be included in your scope of work, because you're working and by the way, are you working as an independent contractor, or you work on staff with a fabricator currently?
Yeah, we're independent, we're third party to fabricators. Now, I mean, I think most of the fabricators I've worked with for, I don't know, 8-10 years. We work with these relationships on repeat for a long, long time. But a third party is how we do the thing, and it's interesting. The way that the detailing process comes out, and shop drawings specifically, and we're not the only industry that has shop drawings, and steel is not the only thing we've ever done a shop drawing for. We've looked at things like rebar. Rebar has shops as well. We've done things like glass and glazing. We've done specific layout for masonry block before. We've done anything that we can touch and try to bring about a positive change for the job, because we've gotten more construction detail early. And so ductwork is another example. Messed around with pipe. So all these have shop drawings. This is a part of a review process that most projects have. The designers get done with what they have. Project gets awarded to subcontractors. Subcontractors have draftspeople that do these shops, and these go up the chain for review. And so I think a big conversation right now, something I see on repeat a lot, is why aren't we putting more detail in design? Like, why aren't we putting more time in design? You mentioned earlier maybe not having the scope, not having, and what that comes down to is the amount of money that you would need to sit there and just look at every last little thing. That you need somebody else to take that. Perhaps that's a situation where you're an engineer and you do professional engineer things, and there are people that are non-professionals that might be able to do this thing. And maybe this is coming down to a good division of labor in construction, where we've got a finite number of professionals that can care for the professional work. Maybe they need to focus on the professional things. And then a division of labor would fall to somebody like myself, who's not a professional, who can do the drafting task, which is just a drafting task. But then there are wrinkles like delegated design, connection design, right? How do we scope that out early? And did the engineer have it? And are you paying apples to apples, the same amount for, these two engineers that just proposed, and one's going to finish their scope for connections and one's not. One's going to provide maybe all the stair design and one's not. And then there are things that come out of that too.
That's a great point. I mean, that's something that I talk about a lot too, and I try to educate some of our, when we do quote jobs, and try to make them understand, okay, what are you getting for this fee, that you're talking about? I mean, sometimes you're not really supposed to price out engineering, but some people will come to us in that light. They'll bring, hey, we want to get a quote on this, and we've already got another quote or whatever, and and then they'll say, yeah, you're $5,000 higher. Okay, well, did they do the connection design? Because we included that in there. But those are good questions to ask really prior to quoting, to be honest.
Yeah.
And have those conversations, because but I really like to just go ahead and include the connection designs for most of the buildings we're doing. I mean, 10,000 square foot range buildings, it doesn't really need a connection design delegated, in my opinion, or because it's mostly shear tabs and very simple kind of connections. I mean, if it does have a couple of complex connections, we can do that anyway. But that goes back to one of the reasons why I think the detailer is helpful to have the detailer, which is, I mentioned shear tabs, but your fabricator may prefer, a different type of connection. And I think that's what drove some of this delegated design aspect, and I want to get your take on that. But my theory is, what drove this somewhat, of course, was just we don't want to do it because it'll save us, the engineer doesn't want to do it because it'll save us, that $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever to go through that process. But the other thing I think it does is it does give some flexibility to the fabricator, right? So like, okay, connection by others. So now the fabricator can design that shear element or moment element to be, an end plate moment connection or a flange plate moment connection. And it gives them some flexibility because their shop might be set up for that. And so that's one of the pros of the delegated design. Now I always say, hey, this is how we drew it. If you want to do something different, you can always do that and then submit an RFI.
Yep.
And there's, that would be more what I call an RFV technically, like using the government terminology, but our request for variance. And I think there's a place for that. So that's one of the reasons I think that the detailing occurs too, is it gives the shop the ability to have this kind of flexibility. I mean, do you see that as well?
Yeah, I mean, that is a named reason, right? You get a few options that are given in AISC to either detail those out, complete, or go all the way to the end of the road, delegate everything in full. And it could be regional. It could be the practice of the firm. It could be the money. Dare I say it could be the expertise. It is insane to me how many engineers we run across that are not adept at connection design. It scares them. They don't really want that scope. They don't understand it as well. And they're not equipped to cover it competently. And so they don't do it. And how would I know that? Well, because over the years we've become close with certain engineers. And, what do you do when you don't have, when you're trying to figure something out, you're trying to figure out, who to subcontract something to, because we subcontract these delegated designs. I got to find a good engineer. I got to find somebody to do this for me. And so you ask around, like, hey, would you want to do this? And that's not really what we do. And so you're seeing some engineering firms crop up now that are being a little more specific about, like, hey, we're going to raise our hand. That's what we're after. Like we actually want to do that scope. we understand it very well. That's what we're due. That's what we're set up to do. We chase that scope. We can help the engineer of record, and it can become a very useful check and balance to the job, where the SEOR gets another engineer coming in behind them, and in a good professional working relationship, they get to help one another make sure that they're nailing it in regards to the code and in regards to what is required in that area for that job. We see this a lot on East Coast. Seismic pockets are somewhat of an enigma to East Coast engineers. Not all of them, but there are quite a few that don't really know what to do with a design category D job. And so on repeat, we see engineers sending out drawings that don't really qualify the fact that we're in a design category D and there are pre-qualified connections we have to use. And a good connection designer can come in, aid in that, help out, get the thing on the right track, and make sure we nail it. So it's
and you're down. You're not too far from me. I'm over in South Carolina, near Beaufort, near Charleston. Your Milledgeville area, right?
Milledgeville area, and we vacation next to you every year. So
Hilton Head, or
I love coming to Hilton Head. So.
Okay, well, give me a shout next time.
There you go.
But my point is, high wind, high seismic. I mean, this area of the country, we have both. We double dip on that, and the seismic, of course, has some specialized connections, specialized aspects of it, like you mentioned. We've gotten pretty nerdy in this show so far, but that's important, right? Because we know, this, that we want to make sure that the like if it's a moment connection or a brace frame in a seismic category D, that it fails in the right way, in what we call a ductile way. So, and those connection designs, like you were saying, pre-qualified, it means that it helps it fail in that ductile manner, right? I mean, is that what you understand it to be?
Yeah, well? More or less. You want a strong column, weak beam design that fails in a predictable way. And so there are good and bad methods to design that, and there are certain things in the code that are dictated for those connections. I mean, there are literally just a pocket of connections that you're allowed to use that have been studied if you don't want to go put it in a laboratory and study it yourself. And so, in regard to braces, there are things like buckling restrained brace frames that, they're like a product. They almost act like a fuse, and break in a predictable way. And then you've got other products, maybe like side plate or something like Simpson Strong Tie has put out, that they're dealing with the seismic in a different way. But they've gone through a whole testing regime just to get pre-qualified, and so it's interesting. All that stuff is very interesting. The cool part of where we sit, I always say we sit on the bottom of the pond and look up. Like as a steel detailer, like this is the bottom. Like we are at the bottom of the food chain. We're below the sub. Like we're being paid by the sub. and we're below it. I mean, like maybe if we hire somebody, they could technically be below us, but a lot of times the people that we're hiring and working with are professional engineers. So they're at least peers. If not, they're, we're listening to them too. And so, at the bottom of the pond looking up, you get to watch everything that happens above you. And you get to watch what settles out. And it is a very interesting view when you also are privy to hundreds of designs a year. And my pediatrician, when we take the kids in, they used to say there are many varieties of normal. And in structural design, there are many varieties of normal. In architectural design, there are many varieties of normal. And I don't know how many times I have heard designers with a shoulder shrug say, I don't understand. Nobody's ever said anything. This has always worked. This has always worked. This is like normal for me. And the cycle of design that we go through, like in that we have a lot of jobs over a short period of time, it's just an interesting point of view to be able to watch. And so
I think that's what's exciting about what your brother's doing, right? The feedback loop concept, of getting, field proof, but not to give him too much of a plug today. but the feedback loop is what's really interesting, as what you're talking about, is what I'm hearing about. Because imagine if we had this feedback loop where, and I don't see it that way, by the way. You said you're on the bottom. I think I see what you do as super important. I respect what you guys are doing. And a good detailer can save a job, or it can not save a job too. That you can say that for a lot of the disciplines, but a good detailer can help a job substantially. And like the collaboration aspect, this feedback loop concept, I think that can really help improve a project, but also can help improve the team and all these different people for the next job too. So do you think that's important, or do you have any thoughts on that?
So the feedback loop thing is something that Clifton Harness from TestFit said to Tyler and I in our first official podcast episode ever. He was the first person that wasn't inside of our office that we ever interviewed. And Clifton said, the feedback loop. And he was an architect before he started the software company. And he was talking about people coming to you as a designer and helping you understand how it might be done better, how your standard detail might be a little bit broken or could be improved, how it might be costly, why they think it's costly for their shop, as opposed to somebody else's who said, no, that's fine for me. And so that feedback loop was something that he kind of preached, and we've latched onto it. That's been 6 years ago, and we've been on repeat about it, about how the whole industry does need a feedback loop. And the bottom of the pond analogy is, are detailers important to a job? Yes. Can I make your life a nightmare as an engineer? Yeah, I could probably inundate you with stupid questions. Mm-hmm. I could sit on the shop drawings and, as a result, delay the steel. There are all sorts of ways I can come up with excuses to not finish what I need to do. On the other side, if I have good intuition and I know how structures work, I'm a lot more likely to understand your intent and to be able to convey that to you, even to be able to ask you RFI that make sense, and that you can say, yeah, that is in fact what I wanted, or that would work. And I think that there could be a vast difference between the experience with two different detailers. The interesting part is how work flows. Work still does flow very much top to bottom. Starts with the financier. Goes, the financier's working with an owner. We got to get the money flowing. That money has to buy a design. There's going to be a certain amount of it to buy that design. That's going to start to set fees. We're going to come up with how we're going to format it. Is it going to be design build? Is it going to be a design assist? Is it going to be just a standard design bid? So if I go design bid build, now it's all very linear. And depending on whether I'm working on state work, government work, whatever you do, maybe that linear comes with some pretty constraining contractual agreements that say you're not going to have these conversations unless these people are in the room. Right. And so information goes top to bottom, bottom to top, top to bottom, bottom to top. And we find ourselves at the rebound point for most of the information that we need. It doesn't go beyond us anywhere. Like when we're asking for information, it's probably not because of somebody else. We're probably asking for information just for us, right? And if we're doing our job well, we become a good spokesperson for our fabricator. We advocate for the fabricator. We also advocate for the success of the project. We grease the wheels on the whole design collaboration, and we help the contractor understand a little more about what we need and why we need it. And we do that early so that they can start doing their part of coordinating, which is a whole other side of this, is like everybody's got to be holding up their end to make it go. But a lot of that does come from feedback loop, understanding, telling each other what I need, and just communicating well. And I mean, I was talking with an engineer friend a couple weeks back, and I said, I used to think that I got paid to just click and do shop drawings, and I feel like the thing that I really get paid for is communicating well. And that may be through a shop drawing. I'm just communicating.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I want to take that and ask some questions about your practice in terms of it's kind of the elephant in the room of sorts, because outsourcing is what I'm thinking about, the communication. But I want to start with, like, do you guys outsource overseas? Are you all local? I mean, how do you set your shop up?
Yeah, everything's in house. We've got all of our detailers are in the United States. We do remote, like we have people working out of their house, so we've got remote and hybrid employees. But I mean, our guys have been with us a long time. We're a family run company. It's, my dad and I, once upon a time, Tyler. And so, yeah, very U.S. based. And that's not to hate on the overseas bunches. I mean, some of the teams that do overseas work, they do a good job. They've got it down. They've got project management down. They're not driving people nuts. Some, because others are. They are driving people nuts. So
yeah, because I mean, what got me thinking about it was the communication versus the work. I mean, because if it was just drawing beams, piece of cake, right?
Right.
I mean, modeling stuff in a computer, but it's not about the communication. Is more than half the battle. I mean, it is the battle. I mean, and understanding the issue at hand. Is this a clip angle? Is this a shear tab? I mean, the intent. That was so interesting because I know what you're talking about. The drawings may have something on like the general notes, and I'm the dang engineer. That's how I opened the conversation up, because I mean, we're guilty of some of these things. Some of it's I could explain away some of it, and then others it's just like that's just how we've always done it, because we haven't really been fully fleshed out that feedback loop, right? But the intent, like it's like, oh well, we just say that generally just to cover ourselves.
It's CYA, yes, 100%. Yes,
CYA, cover your assets is what I say.
That's right. Yeah.
But but the thing about it is you probably can see through that from a mile away, usually. I don't know. Do you normally see through those type of statements? Like
I mean, yes. There are a lot of standard details that are CYA type of details. They, what they put us in the position of is like, how are we going to make sure that we iterate the intent to the extent that it needs to be iterated without going too far. Like if I know that something's just a standard detail, but you don't really care about it or don't need it, and maybe there are 30 of those things, like, do you want an RFI on every single general note that I can find? Or do you want me to have some inference about this thing and do what I know, allow you to review my shop drawings and speak now? But then where does that put me? Like if somebody comes back and starts going down to the letter of the law, there's some art to it. I feel like that's a lot different for me, 21 years in than it was 2 years in, where, I might throw a little mini fit about something and say, oh, the dang engineer, but I'm the one that didn't have the understanding. I needed somebody to kind of pull me to the side and teach me. I needed a feedback loop myself. That moment for me happened through a series of, I'll say, just golf entertainment venues that we did. We did 50 of them and got to work alongside of the engineering firm and worked very collaboratively where designs were completed and bid with detailing done. And that opened the door for me to collaborate with and speak to engineers every single day, to befriend them, to ask understanding from them, and have them teach me. And so that also opened the door for me to understand and work alongside of the design builder. That also opened the door and helped me to understand and work alongside the mechanical contractor and the electrical contractor and the guy that's doing the curtain wall and the metal stud framer. And like I'm all of a sudden I've gone from a little pocket detailer to getting to collaborate with these project stakeholders on the whole job. Brought a huge understanding in my life because I all of a sudden understood why information didn't exist on a document, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I understood how design iterated. I understood how the bidding process iterated. I understood some of the why. And man, was it an eye-opening moment when I got there. Now, working on a lot more projects that are just traditional workflows, nothing fancy, I'm able to take those lessons learned and pull them in. And I see engineers as allies until proven differently. Like these guys that I get to work across from, I usually have good working relationships with the engineers that we work with on projects. They generally we have the same goals, and even maybe think a little bit alike. We're analytical minds, and so I can befriend that, and through being allies, we can grease the wheels and make things go, which is ultimately what I want to do. I mean, that's velocity equals profit, man. If I can make the job go, if I can spend less time on RFI, if I can make it go, then we can all make a little more money. Everybody would. I mean, you're not making money by doing a bunch of contract administration.
Right.
Answering the phone all day, every day. You're not doing new work. So.
Yeah, we call it plans out. That's how we, have you ever heard of Southwest Airlines? They have a saying, wheels up.
Yeah.
So ours is plans out.
Very nice.
But you got to have right plans out, of course. So, but plans out nonetheless. So I want to go. I'm a little off script for this, but I do want to ask you some. We've gotten a little bit of very detailed into the what of what you do, but I want to talk about you some more. So your background. I mean, you started out in the field. I mean, I guess I'm not sure if your father already had the detailing business, but why did you choose to go into the field first versus going straight into the office?
Well, I played baseball through college, and I got a history degree. And when I got done with my last summer, I went to Alaska and played up there, and I came home, and I had $0. And a buddy of mine on my baseball team, his dad had a concrete company in the area, and I needed quick work. And I locked in, I tied rebar and was a form carpenter for, 6 months. And when I had all I could take of that, because that is a tough gig, I got myself a raise, a truck, and a trailer, and started remodeling bathrooms, doing just general carpentry, plumbing, and whatever you do in a bathroom, we did it. Setting cabinets, putting sinks in, whatever. And so did that for a year and a half, something like that. And so the detailing company didn't start until really when I was graduating college. It only existed about a year and a half after I'd graduated, and then I was in the company. So Dad and I have had this thing as a together thing pretty much the whole way. I grew up with him as a contractor. He had 25 years as a general contractor, and started this company when he saw Tekla structures. He saw 3D modeling coming down the pike and got really interested in it, and said, I want to do that. That's innovative. That's awesome. Like, let's do that. And we just kind of taught ourselves how to do the steel detailing. We very much learned this together and taught each other. So, you know, obviously Dad, when I'm young, he's just pouring into me. And then when Tyler came on, I'm pouring into him. But yeah, it's
That's
something
awesome.
I fell into. I didn't mean to be here. I spent all the summers working in construction. It was just what I knew. It's what I grew up, you know, I was running jackhammers or swinging sledgehammers, doing demo, doing whatever Dad had me doing for Campbell Contracting back in the day when I was a teenager, in between ball games.
He was a general contractor himself.
Yeah, he worked from anywhere from larger middle range contractors to running his own thing, and so anything from being a vice president at a fairly large contractor in the late 80s, to, you know, being the guy hands-on that's basically, you know, owner, superintendent, project manager, everything guy. We were building Aaron's rents. We build those out. We'd either remodel or freestand them, and so yeah, he kind of did all sorts of things, and then was with a larger GC, building the headquarters for Tropical Sportswear International, which, if you remember Duckhead, the old brand Duckhead.
Oh, yeah.
That was the parent company for them. He was building their headquarters, and it was a job with Walter P. Moore, and the detailer had Tekla, and so the rest is kind of in the tally books. He bought Tekla and started making attempts at doing shop drawings with it, which was a different deal back in Tekla like 8 than it is in current Tekla. So
As far as that was the revision number of Tekla?
Yeah, that was like a very early on version of Tekla, and did not have near the features that it does now. Also didn't have nearly the breadth of material that it does now, where you can do concrete and a lot of different things in it. So,
Right. So he was doing this big job, and he saw this detailing company doing Tekla and doing detailing, and he said, I'm getting into that. Is that the basic idea?
He had this detailing company drive him absolutely slap nuts through this project as a general contractor through RFI and change orders. I mean, it just drove him crazy. And
So
I think it was like, yeah, he was like looking at it, you know, he knew their fee, and then he knew all the change orders and RFI they're sending, and he knew what the pain in the butt they were being. It was kind of like, crud, man, I can do that better than them. I can do better than this. And so he picked it up. Now, whether that was the case or not, I think we learned pretty quick. It's not easy. There's a lot to it.
Well, and you mentioned bottom.
Tried.
Bottom, I don't forget how you phrased it, bottom dweller or bottom of the pond. But
It was
I'm thinking,
bottom of the pond, yeah.
You know, you guys are getting you get way more than the structural engineer on a lot of these jobs. And even like the delegated designer, because I've done both sides of it, by the way. Like, I've done one or two, we did actually do detailing on one or two jobs, but I'm like, man, I get more on delegated design than I do on the actual building sometimes.
Well, and it's
crazy.
It's a thing a lot of owners don't understand about what they didn't get for what they paid. And a lot of general contractors that don't know that that's kind of sitting in the weeds too. So,
and that's that big change order. It's like, okay, and I think what you were saying too is you're helping them see that, right? Like you're a spokesman for your fabricator. Like the specifications, that little line that says you have to have it stamped, the connections have to be stamped by an engineer. That's a big line item right there.
Or done under the direct supervision of an engineer.
Yeah.
Or done by an NISD senior detailer or something. I mean, like, yeah, there are all kinds of specs and notes and things that you can step in if you're not careful that you need to qualify. And those relationships, I mean, it's very bidirectional. Like when you work with good teammates, you make each other better. And so we have striven to surround ourselves with good teammates, good people to work for, and we do. We work with good people. We have good people, and that is hugely helpful for watching each other's back and making sure that my customer isn't also involved in just putting a bunch of CYA out there so they can say, hey, gotcha, you did it wrong. Here comes the deduct. No, we're watching each other's backs.
Yeah.
I'm trying with everything in me to make them as profitable as I can possibly make them on a job by just making that steel just slide through their shop and go to the field and slide together. I want it to be as no muss, no fuss as it can be. But that's a challenge. That's easier said than done. And I'm sure if some of my customers listen to me say that, it'd be like, yeah, you're not always successful on that, Eddie, are you? And I would admit I'm not. But it's a difficult thing to think of absolutely everything on every project and make sure that you're doing that. You're greasing the wheels, but that's the goal. That's what we aim at.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's good that you're looking out for the fabricator and the project as a whole. So which brings me sort of like leadership behaviors, leadership skills, and looking also at your profile. You seem to be open about your faith, open about obviously being a husband, a father. How do those aspects of your life, the faith, you're Christian, being a husband and being a father, how do you bring those into your leadership for what you do every day?
Service, I think, is first and foremost, is to serve the people around you and treat them well. A lot of that comes out in kind of a golden rule mentality that you're going to do to others like you'd have them do to you. And I think that those are things that we try to live by in our company as a team together. And I think that those things are things that scale in business and make businesses successful too. I want to do those things because they're in good character, not because they make me money. But I also know that when you do things well and treat people right for a long period of time, good things happen. And if you want examples of that, I'd point at Ritz-Carlton and Chick-fil-A as two that have a service mentality about their business and have done very well. And so that, I feel like, is where it comes out. And not to get ahead of you, but then,
Sure.
It also brings me to the why. What's the why, and the father part of that, the husband part of that. My wife and my kids are absolutely, most definitely my why. What I'm doing here every day is to try to provide opportunity for the people that are directly around me, and so I hope that opportunity is opportunity that's provided to them, and I hope that opportunity is something that my team has for their families too. So I think that's how we try to apply that every day.
Yeah, you're supporting your family, you're leading your family, you're leading your team, you're doing it through service. I mean, those sound like significant why things to me. So thanks for sharing all of that.
Can I brag on somebody a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
My grandfather, my dad's dad, Pop. We've talked about him a lot on the podcast. He was an engineer. He went to the University of Cincinnati, got an engineering degree, civil engineering degree, and worked for Messer Construction, co-opted and retired with Messer Construction. And if you talk to him right now and ask him what's important, he'd say family. Family's what's important. And the cool part about that is Pop has given a lineage to our family. And if you ask any of my cousins, anybody who knows him, anybody that might encounter him on a trip to the hospital where he was dealing with something hard, Pop just has a way of just kind of making people feel good about having been around him. And he's got his priorities right, and just had a make it a winner mentality. It was always make it a winner, buddy, was his line. So
what does that mean? Make it a winner? Like take a bad situation and make it better? Or
I think it means, the way I've always interpreted it, and I've said it to my kids every day when they get out of the car. I've said it to them when they're getting out. To me, it means you have a choice what you're going to make your day. Your day might be hard, might be filled with difficult things. You might deal with people you don't like or don't want to have to deal with. You might get bumped, but you have a choice to make, and that's, who am I going to be in that? How am I going to act in that? And am I going to just, let that carry me? Am I going to lose sight of the things that are important? And I think if you practice making sure that you look at the things that you are grateful for and thankful for on the daily, that you can make it a winner. It's a winning day no matter what happened. You might have lost money. You might have had a very hard day. You might have had more than just monetary loss in your life. But are you grateful for the day that you've been given today? And Pop lived that. He didn't just say it. He lived it and still lives it right now, every day, even though at 95 years old, he is, his days are harder now.
Yeah. Sounds like an incredible man. So
he is. He's an awesome guy. So I'm gonna brag on him because he's the family lineage. We've got this lineage of building, this heritage of building, but we've also got this really cool family heritage. That has just made that important. That's not just on Dad's side, but Pop is just the shining example that we look at. He's just somebody that my brothers and I all agree, like, he's a cool guy to emulate. My dad too.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I mean, I really hope to hear more about him, and sounds like an incredible man. So, and I think we got a good name for the show today, is Make It a Winner.
Make it a winner.
Maybe
I like
that
it.
should be what we call it, but either that or something about feedback loops. But
there you go. Yeah. I like it. And hey, if you want to hear Pop talk about his days in construction, we've done a cast on that and had him on. So he's just a cool guy. Yeah,
because you've and obviously you've got the background, and you've got your own show, the Construction Brothers podcast so talking about like Pop, and is there any other things that the Construction Brothers podcast has, maybe lessons learned from that has really helped you or grown you as a person, as a construction professional?
The show functioned off of the basic premise that we were after ideas and encouragement, that any show had to do one of those two things. It present an idea or it encouraged people. And we had a lot of encouraging people on, and we had a lot of people with really amazing ideas on. And at the beginning of the show, I thought, I know how to fix construction. And 6 years later, I can tell you it's a complex problem with brilliant people working on it, and it's not easy. Mm-hmm. And I guess if the podcast brought anything about, it was kind of it opened my field of view, and it humbled me in a lot of ways, because I don't know how many times we had somebody on and we were like, geez, I mean, I'm amazed you even talked to us. Like, you've got a lot going on. You've got a lot in your day, and you're very sharp, and you're leading hundreds of people, and here I am, in little piddly Milledgeville, just, hoping to talk to somebody fun and cool and put it on the internet. And those great minds, those really brilliant people, they're all exerting their will on the construction industry trying to make it better. Mm-hmm. So big lesson learned is there are a lot of people trying to improve it. I think we're going to have to approach this with a measure of patience and know that over time we will improve it if we want to. And, you try with everything in you to improve your pocket and your little piece of it.
Yeah. Awesome. That's really good perspective, Eddie. So thanks for sharing that. So, I just want to be respectful of your time as well, and really just give you an opportunity. Is there anything, one question, and then give you an opportunity just to share anything else maybe you want to share, but what's working for you lately? That's kind of a generic statement, but what is working for you generally, like lately in a business, or maybe it's personal, but
personally, I've had to learn the lesson over the years that I'm not a cyborg and I have limits. So all those things that they told you in health class back when you were in like 8th and 9th grade, they actually matter. So, get your rest. Don't overwork. Try to keep your priorities in line. Spend time with the family. That goes away. Eat well. All the things. I think it's some basic stuff done well for a long time that gets you in a good spot. From business standpoint, recently on projects, I've tried to focus down on the slow is smooth, smooth is fast mentality. And I learned this from the guys in the field. All the older carpenters were really good about just like laying the work out, thinking through it, and then doing it instead of just attack. And and in construction and in projects, especially the fast-paced ones, a lot of times we're like attack, and then just try to figure it out. And I'm trying my best to just say, this may feel slow to think, but think, then act. Measure twice, cut once type of deal.
Yeah.
So that's definitely been a recent focus in business. And then on the fun side of things, we're trying to spend ourselves on developing a new tool to help improve steel fabrication as an industry. And so that's just kind of where we spent a lot of time inventing, and that's
okay.
fun.
Well, you get that. I imagine you probably get some of that from, the mentality from Pop, but also your dad, who had this vision for, technology 20 years ago. But I don't want to break any secrets, but what's the tool, or do you have any ability to share any details?
Yeah. So Dad definitely had and has an inventor's mentality. And he's got this creative bend and just always wants to find a better way. And it's just insatiable. Loves finding a better way to do something. And he does that on his farm. He does that in, construction. It's just like the intrigue just drives him, right? So the tool that we've been working on is a software that we're building out to help fabricators. We feel like, and I'm going to speak in some obscurity, but we feel like in some ways fabrication control software is kind of a one-horse race right now. And that it's ripe for some disruption and needs some help. So we've been working on a solution to do that with, and hope to come out with a release candidate for that end of November and put something out there for 2026 in January.
Okay, awesome. That sounds pretty exciting. Look forward to hearing more about that. And also, the farm, I think that's an underrated aspect. People that I know that have farms, that have worked on the farm, and there's so many things that go wrong in a farm environment that you have to be inventive. It's like you gotta make this tractor work, or you gotta get, you got weather things happening and irrigation and drainage. But you're basically an engineer. You're an inventor. I mean, do you think that was an impact on how he had to think about, innovation?
Farming's been a kind of like a late in life job hobby for him, and it's an outlet. I mean, agriculture right now is insanely inventive, and there are a lot of people thinking about agriculture right now. A lot of people out talking about wanting to farm themselves and do things. It's just, I mean, if you're on YouTube at all and look at that realm, there's a lot going on there, right? So it's a lot of fun for him to just think through and invent. And my son worked out there with him for a year and a half. We're at 3 generations now in this business. So my son is now working with us as an intern as he goes through college, and it was a great experience for him. Maybe frustrating at times, but a great experience for him to run equipment and build things. I mean, you might be a carpenter one day, you might be running the track loader the next, and anything in between. So it was a good experience for him, and that kind of preceded him coming in and being able to work with us, checking and doing whatever he can do. So
that's awesome.
Great environment to learn.
You've got that family business that they're interested in working in it and helping out. So I've got 6 kids, but I still don't have one that's working in the business yet.
Well, I don't. Did you know that about me?
What's that?
That we also have 6 children.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so we have that in common.
What's your breakdown?
Yeah, so my oldest is a junior in college, and we're about every 2 years down.
Boys, girls?
3 and 3.
Okay, so we have 5 and 1, 5 boys and 1 girl. So, and then Madeline, she's my producer. So we usually do a preview. So she's here today, but not in the video camera, but listening in, and we'll do a preview of how we like to do it. But she's my sweetheart. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize that one about you. So so the oldest is coming through, and then you've got a few others maybe that'll come through the business too, possibly.
Yeah. We went boy, girl, boy, girl, girl, boy, and so the our second is a senior in high school and figuring out what she's going to do, and so my oldest is here working with us, and I don't know, it's kind of fun. It was fun sharing this, fun learning, kind of passing it on. We'll see. I'm trying my best to make sure that we're training them up, help them learn things, but that the family business thing is never a black hole that you fall in and can't get out of. So it's fun working with family, and it's been fulfilling, but it can be challenging working with family too. I mean, we've had Dad and Tyler and I, and now Jeremiah's in as an intern, and it's been a good ride, but family business. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's the scary thing about it. I'm not really pushed anybody. I mean, I say I haven't had anybody because I've had a few people that have helped at a pertinent level, we'll call it, like the producer, or an OG is one of them. I call it the office gopher.
Yeah, there you go.
And then one of my kids did spend a summer doing some drafting, and decided we mutually decided that it wasn't going to work out.
Well, I will say that letting them operate in a 3D environment has been a favorite for everybody I've allowed to do it. It's more like play than it is work. We're not like trying to train them up and make them the next generation of drafts people, but at the same time, like they're playing in a 3D environment. It's what they do anyway, and so they're digital natives and speak that language very well. And so when I put them in Tekla and say, here, this does this, that does that, it's pretty fun watching what they'll do. And so, I mean, I've had my 8-year-old playing around in Tekla and putting
Wow.
beams and columns in and having fun. And
That's pretty
it's
cool.
cool.
I mean, it's hard when
Yeah.
not a lot of people have access to that software. I mean, it's not a cheap software, right? I mean,
It's not, but so Tekla does have a student offering that you can get. That's a free version to learn on. So
Yeah.
A little hot tip there, if you want to pick that up and let your kids learn in it, that is something that you can do.
that's a great tip. I mean, because I get people all the time, they're coming up, hey, and you may get this too, where, hey, I'm interested in engineering, I'm interested in science, I'm interested in architecture. I usually tell them, go get Revit, which is REVIT for those that, but yeah, Revit or SketchUp. But this is another killer idea, is to grab Tekla and the student version. I mean, have you had that question come to you before about like
Sure.
Other kids? Do you give them, what advice do you tell them in that situation?
Learn how to build. I love the idea of just starting out in the field and learn how to build, learn how to use your hands. In some ways, I'm thankful I started there because that's a backstop that I can always fall to. Like if steel detailing went away tomorrow, I know I could still put something together. I know I could still go and do something with my hands. I know how to run tools. I know how to place the work. And when given opportunity, still enjoy it. So I love the idea of starting there, even if you want to be a professional. If you want to be an architect or an engineer, what better than to start and learn how things are built. And then that's going to be a backdrop for designing from then on. It's going to make you a better designer.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the point about the feedback loop is really one of the reasons why that's so valuable is you're seeing it from the field angle, and then when you draw it in the office, you're like, well, that wouldn't really work out because I can't get that welding stick up in that little hole there or whatever. So I can't draw that beam that way, or I can't draw that situation that way. But you might not have thought about it that way if you didn't work in the field. I didn't work. I did a little bit when I worked at one of the fabrication companies, but that would have helped me out even more if I'd have had some more field experience. So I can definitely see the value of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've had plenty of opportunity to get out into fab shops and on sites and different things. It's a fun thing to do anyway. Mm-hmm. So getting to see the work in place, I think it's a fun field trip, but it's also a great learning experience. So, yeah, I mean, get your hands dirty, your boots dirty a little bit, and learn how to work. The software is the easiest thing we train. I mean,
yes.
Knowing steel is like this long journey. Knowing Tekla structures or Revit, I mean, especially for the digital native kid, like, yeah, okay, I can learn the software. Now, these are vast softwares, and there's a lot to them. Sure. But, I mean, I'm a lot quicker at getting you proficient in a software than I am at teaching you how not to do something that's going to be either dangerous or detrimental in steel.
Yeah, would you rather have somebody construction knowledge or computer knowledge that can draw, can do the Tekla?
I want somebody with character. I want somebody with intelligence, and then I want somebody with aptitude. Because I've had people that have had a lot of building experience, but man, when it come time to operate in the software, like there was just like maybe a breakdown, but I'd say character and intellect and then aptitude is kind of how I'm looking at hiring. I want to find a good person first. And if they're a good person, they're smart, given enough time, we can train in a lot of what we need to train in.
Fair enough. Awesome. Well, Eddie, it's kind of wrap this thing up today. I appreciate your time today. It's been a lot of fun just getting into some nerdy detailing stuff, which I love, and I know you do as well. And then also finding out about your some of your passions and things. But was there anything else you want that I didn't hit on that maybe you wanted to just shout out or anything?
No, man. We've covered a lot of ground. I really do appreciate the invite. So I don't know. Tyler and I always sign off with "Go build something awesome." So maybe I'll dovetail it with that. So y'all go build something
I like
awesome.
That. I like to make it a winner.
Make it a winner. That'll work too.
Lesson learned today. I mean, that's a big one. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And then, how do people find you, Eddie?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. You can look me up on there. Pretty active out there, and always happy to make a connection with people. So that would be the place to find us. Yeah,
go ahead and follow Eddie, connect with him, because he's got some hot takes on construction, and I like your hot takes. So check those out, and also his podcast. What's the podcast called again?
Yeah, so Construction Brothers Podcast. You can look us up on LinkedIn, and we're also on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, awesome. And you've got a detailing company too. What's the name of that?
And that's ABSI. You're a better spokesperson for me than I am.
Hey, I gotta help you out, man. We gotta grow your brand, grow our brand too. So
there you go. ABSI, absi-bim.com is our website. Steel detailing, BIM.
And now people know what detailing is, so they if they ever come across that, they're gonna know who to hire, right?
Yeah, they ever know. Yeah, I had no idea what steel detailing is, but if I ever need to use it, I know who to call. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Eddie, hey, God bless. Thanks for being on today.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Hey everybody,